recognizing we can't take action, but there are reports and things, business we can do. Take advantage of your time here. I'm John Hodges, by the way, your vice chair, and Mayor Stoney, our chair, is not here. His family had a new baby, and we wish him well. And we welcome Reverend Nelson. Will you? Fine, thank you. In that case, would you stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you all to the March meeting of the Central Virginia Transportation Authority and welcome alternates that are here. Mr. Winfrey from Goochland, Ms. Pearson from New Kent, and Ms. Nye from City of Richmond. We appreciate y'all being here. At this point, I'm going to ask Ms. Scott to certify a quorum.
Yes, sir. Town of Ashland, Vice Chair Hodges.
Here.
Charles City County, Mr. Atkins.
Present.
Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll.
Present next to Mr. Atkins.
Goochland County, Mr. Winfrey.
Yes, ma'am, here.
Hanover County, Mr. Davis. Mr. Hudson. Henrico County, Reverend Nelson.
Here.
New Kent County, Mr. Moyer. Ms. Pearson.
Present.
Powhatan County, Mr. McClung.
Present.
City of Richmond, Ms. Nye.
Here.
Virginia House of Delegates, Delegate Cousins. Senate of Virginia, Senator Hashmi.
Here.
Thank you. Commonwealth Transportation Board, Mr. Davis.
Present.
Capital Region Airport Commission, Mr. Miller.
Present.
Mr. Rutledge. GRTC, Ms. Adams.
Here.
Ms. Torres. RMTA, Ms. Dean. DRPT, Ms. DeBrule. Mr. Trogdon.
Present.
VDOT, Mr. Bridge. Mr. Totten. Mr. Riblett.
Here.
Virginia Port Authority, Mr. Edwards. Ms. Vick. Ms. Nelson. Ms. Nelson? Thank you, I think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yes, I was present.
Thank you. That concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. I think I already introduced our alternates. Is there anyone else that is here today that I've overlooked that should be recognized? If not, we'll move to administration, confirmation of member participation from a remote location. I've approved the request from 2 members to participate remotely. Barbara Nelson of the Port Authority. Ms. Nelson's principal residence location is more than 60 miles from the meeting location. And Senator Hashmi, personal matter, specifically scheduling a conflict that prevents attendance in person. I would now ask the
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve your decision to allow for those people to remotely participate.
thank you, Mr. Carroll. We have a second?
Second.
Mr. McClung?
Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson, I apologize, Mr. Nelson. This is a voice vote?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The next item is consideration amendments to the agenda. There's been a request from Mr. Parsons to switch item B2 with B1. B2 deals with fiscal year 24 and B1 deals with fiscal year 25. So would the authority consider do I hear a motion to amend the agenda to switch B2 and make that the first item under action items? Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Second? Seconded by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Next, we have the approval of the CVA meeting minutes, February 23rd, 2024. Do I hear a motion or any discussion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. McClellan, motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Atkins? Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I would ask the secretary if she would record me as abstaining. I was not at the meeting.
Yes.
I would like to abstain also, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. All right. Next item is open public comment period. Do we have anyone here in the room that would like to offer public comment? Not seeing any. Is there anyone online, Ms. Scott?
No, sir, we haven't received any requests.
So after opening public comment, I'll close it. There's no one asking to speak. CVA Chairman's Report. I would like to commend Plan RVA and Chamber of Commerce for an excellent transportation forum. It was held March 15th at Main Street Station. I got a lot out of it and thought that it worked well to get the discussion going on the long-range transportation plan, and look forward to future forums. The other item I would comment on is GRTC's Link microbus ribbon cutting in the town of Ashland, which was, I think, a great success and well received. And we look forward to the micro transit program being a success in the town. Thank you, Ms. Adam.
Thank you. Thank you.
At this point, I would move on to the executive report. Mr. Parsons, Executive Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think just a quick add-on to your comment about the link system. The Powhatan pilot has also started. There wasn't a ribbon cutting, I don't believe.
April.
It's in April, okay.
Yeah.
So we will let you all know when that is scheduled, and hope to see you all out there.
Yep.
That's great. Thank you.
Just a couple items of information for you under the director's report. There were 2 letters that were hard copied and put out by the agendas. Hopefully you might have picked them up. This is letters of support that I have signed and submitted. The first is to Representative McClellan, Senator Kane, Senator Warner, about the CVTA's support for a grant application by the City of Richmond to fund Segment 4A of the Fall Line Trail. This is a grant that will build the section from Walmsley Boulevard to Belmead Road. The city has asked for a letter of support to include in that application. As we all know, the federal grant cycles are kind of restricted, and letters need to go as soon as they're available. So I took the liberty to sign and send this on. We have, as an authority, prioritized the fall line, and this is something that helps us to move forward with that, and best wishes to the city in getting that grant approved. The second letter is a letter actually to Ms. Schickel with Plan RVA. It's a letter of intent for signing an MOA with Plan RVA for a climate pollution reduction grant application. As well, this application will also benefit the fall line. This is a one-time opportunity through a grant program established by the EPA, and it's a great and a huge opportunity for a significant amount of funding that would help to complete the gap in the fall line from Henrico all the way through Chesterfield County. So again, a federal grant application. I signed a letter of support, and that application is being completed. I believe, next week. So, again, best of luck to Plan RVA in getting that approved. The other thing that I had of note was that just business keeping for FY25. I have reached out and contacted everybody on the board. If you intend to receive a stipend for participation at the authority, I think I have information from everybody on a yes or no. I do have W-9s, the proper forms to complete, so if you need those, I'm gonna try and connect with you individually. If you don't, you're good. That is something that we wanna go ahead and get in place as soon as possible, so we can have everything set up for July 1. Mr. Chair, I think it's worthwhile to note that
We would welcome
Yes.
Ms. Ray Cousins, our new representative from the House of Delegates. Welcome to the Central Virginia Transportation Authority. If I'm not mistaken, are we in your district?
Yes, we are. We're in the district.
Well, it's a wonderful district, and we
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you. It's a beautiful space too. I am happy to be here. Sorry for being late, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Well, thank you for joining us.
I'm finished, yes.
Are there any questions of Mr. Parsons on his report? Not hearing any, we'll move to action items. The new first item is FY 2024 Administrative Operating Budget Revision 01 on page 10 of your agenda, Mr. Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is a staff report on page 10 and 11 outlining the request to adjust the currently, the FY24 current operating budget. As part of the budgeting process, funding priorities, pulling from the staff report, funding priorities shift from time to time due to additional resources required for the completion of some of the major work tasks of the authority for the current year. It is appropriate for the authority to consider an adjustment to its approved operating budget. Additional costs were incurred in the completion of 2 priority work tasks, the third-party cost estimate review necessary for the recently adopted Round 3 regional funding awards, as well as the informal ratings review of the CVTA that was performed by Moody's Rating Service. Although the costs increased for those task items, staff has been able to make adjustments to the existing budget that shift funds between line items and do not increase the overall budget. Even though the bylaws authorize the executive director to work with the chair of the finance committee to execute those changes, staff is asking for full authority concurrence with the proposed update. At the March meeting of the finance committee, this revision and proposed budget adjustments were reviewed, and a unanimous recommendation was received from the finance committee to approve the request. The adjustment in the budget can be seen on, I think, most notably on page 13, the fold-out page, the 11 by 17 print. You will note the red shaded sections of the budget are where some funds were shifted out of, taken away from those task items to be focused into those 2 priority items, the third-party cost estimate review and the informal rating review. So the contracted services, you can see the increases there for financial advisors and contracted services. That's where the shift went. At the bottom of the page, you can see that the overall budget does not change. And the request today is to approve the updated adjustment as presented in the staff report and in the updated table. I think, Mr. Chair, one thing to note, you can see, and this is leading into the next item of business today, there are a couple task items that are stricken through, that have a line through them: bank fees and investment services, recruitment, telecommunications, and printing, copying, production. These were all established when the authority was created in 2020, and they're redundant because we have all of these services covered under our MOA with Plan RVA. So we're already in contract with Plan VA to have these services covered, so we do not need them in the budget. So the suggestion here, as you can see in the red items, is to eliminate these task items because they're covered under our agreement with Plan VA. Mr. Chair, that's a quick run through of the proposed amendment. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Parsons? If not, is there a motion? There is a motion on page 11.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I think because it came out of the,
Finance Committee, it does not take a.
there's actually a motion on the floor now based on it coming out of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. It is properly on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes, yes.
Yeah, I think it probably requires a roll call vote.
That's
because it's a
correct.
financial decision.
That's correct. Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Your experience as a past chairman is invaluable.
Or being a pain, one or the other.
Ms. Scott, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Vice Chair Hodges.
Aye.
Mr. Atkins.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll.
Aye.
Mr. Winfrey.
Aye.
Reverend Nelson.
Aye.
Ms. Pearson.
Aye.
Mr. McClung.
Aye.
Delegate Cousins. Senator Hashmi.
Aye.
And Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries.
I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Knack.
Aye.
I apologize.
That's an important one.
Yes, it's a key one.
Carries.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. Moving on then, for what is now item number 2, request for authorization to advertise a public hearing for April 26, 2024 for the FY 2025 administrative and operating budget. Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. This is an anticipatory request from staff. We are preparing. We do not have it ready for review at this time, but we are preparing a draft of the FY25 operating budget. My expectations, and thank you for the amendment to the agenda, are that the FY25 budget will very closely resemble the FY24 budget as amended, with the elimination of the 4 task items and the focus on contracted services. We will have an increase in some of our public engagement costs for FY25. It's expected, one, to develop a standalone CVTA website that has more readily available information for the public. And I guess the expectation is that the budget will probably not increase. We think it will be very close to what is currently approved for FY24. The request today, which is listed in the agenda, is to authorize advertisement of a public hearing for our next meeting of April 26th for the FY25 administrative and operating budget, and for a public review period to be held from April 11th through April 25th. That's our required 15 days. Finance Committee did review this item in advance at its meeting earlier this month, and unanimously approved a recommendation to authorize this advertisement. We plan to have a draft, the full draft of the FY25 budget available for the Finance Committee to review at its April meeting. At the time that agenda packet is distributed, we'll make sure that gets to everyone here as well, so that you have that well in advance of the April 26th meeting, as well as the public review period, in case there are any questions that may arise. I apologize for, we would typically like to have maybe another month advance notice to get this in front of everybody in the proper sequence. But we are, I think, probably my fault, dealing with the end of year meeting schedule, which is not consistent because of the joint annual meeting and the introduction of summer vacations and everything else. So I request your patience, and we'll try and get this handled in a little bit more advanced notice next year.
Appreciate that. Are there any questions for Mr. Parsons? Mr. Carroll, did you want to make any comment?
No, I just wanted to, he covered it, just wanted to make sure people know that this will be up to another review on April the 10th by the Finance Committee prior to the advertisement, and if for some reason something changes, we'll make sure we get all the information out to everybody.
So the authority is being asked basically just to advertise the budget, not to have reviewed the budget in any way. The Finance Committee will be doing that on our behalf. Do I hear a motion or any discussion? This doesn't come from the Finance Committee.
It doesn't, I'll make a motion to approve for the advertisement, Mr. Chair.
And I understand it's a voice vote. So we have a second after,
Second.
seconded by Mr. McLeod.
Mr. Nelson?
Again, Mr. Nelson, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't,
Okay.
I didn't enter.
I think I did.
Wrong.
All right.
Yes.
All right, my ear's going back.
And I appreciate the help. I need all the help. Thank you. Anyway, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you very much. Item number 3, under action items, financial policies and procedures update on page 14. Mr. Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is on page 14. There is a red line version of the financial policies and procedures that were last approved on February 26, 2021. This, as well as the previous 2 items, was reviewed and by the Finance Committee and came with a recommendation for approval. What we are doing here is twofold. Most of the changes that are contained in the financial policies and procedures are adjustments to account for the CVTA now having an executive director in place. The previous approvals of this mentioned the CVTA administrator. Mostly these are just administrative changes to recognize the executive director. The other major change is at the bottom of page 18 in reference to regional revenue, 35% funds. And this is adding additional detail. This is coming out of over a year of conversation with PFM, our financial advisors, as we prepare the authority for consideration of bond issuance. One of the things that this does, and I'm going to read the sections, there are 2 sections here to highlight. Regional funds shall be used to fund and maintain a working capital reserve, and then the additional language equal to at least 3 months of the budgeted annual regional CVTA funds. If drawn upon, the chief financial staff of the CVTA will develop a plan to restore the working capital reserve to its minimum level over a period not to exceed 18 months. The authority will revisit the level of this reserve no later than June 30th, 2025 to reflect its actual cash flow patterns and expenditure reimbursements. And then the second item, fund cost of issuance and other debt-related fees and services and debt service payments undertaken by the CVTA. If CVTA decides to debt fund projects, the ratio of sales tax revenues portion of the annual regional CVTA funds to annual senior lien debt service will be a minimum of 2.0 times. This reflects the discussions that have happened at the Finance Committee level primarily, but it's really preparing the CVTA to have the working capital reserve in place in the event that debt is issued, so that we do have the mechanisms present to make the regular payments that are required in addition to our regional commitments. So, and it's also signifying the minimum of 2.0 coverage that has been discussed for possible ratings as well as bond issuance. Mr. Gregory, do you have any other additions to the changes that are proposed here?
No, sir. They look to be in order and consistent with directives from the Finance Committee and the financial advisors and bond counsel, so would certainly recommend approval.
Any comments for Mr. Gregory or Mr. Parsons? Mr. Davis?
Chairman, thank you. And I apologize, I probably should have said something about this at the Finance Committee meeting. The wording there in the second, so paragraph 2, the second sentence, where it starts, it says, if CVTA decides to debt fund projects, The wording there just seems a little bit, I'll make a suggestion, I'm okay with it as it is, but just maybe a cleanup and I would suggest for debt-funded projects, let me start over, for debt-funded projects approved by CVTA, comma, and then follow in with I think it makes a little more sense in my mind that the CVTA approves projects, it doesn't necessarily decide. It can decide through its approval process, but just, it's a nit, but I'm okay with it as it is. If you wanna make the change, I'm good with that as well.
So the suggested language is for debt-funded projects
For
approved.
debt-funded projects approved by CVTA, comma, and then the rest of it flows perfectly, but
I think that's a good idea. The if kind of makes it a little ambiguous.
Any other discussion? I'm hearing a motion and a second. Motion from
Yes.
Mr. Davis, second from Ms. Pierce.
Yeah.
This is a voice vote?
Chair,
Yes, Mr. Carroll,
I think we would actually have to have a motion to amend the language included with that.
as amended.
As amended.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Carroll. So the motion is to adopt the changes as amended. That's correct, and that's correct with the second. Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much. The last item under action items, 2024 CVTA Regional Allocations Plan, page 22, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir, thank you. This was also an item that is coming with a recommendation from the Finance Committee. Thank you all for your diligent work in approving round 3 of the regional funding awards at the February 23rd meeting. This is kind of the final step in signifying what those changes were and when the expectations are that the funding will be necessary. So the staff report on page 22 kind of follows the background. The Code of Virginia language is related to the authority adopting a funding plan which will provide for the expenditure of funds for transportation purposes over a 4 to 6 year period and shall align with the statewide transportation plan, the long-range transportation plan of Planning District 15, or participating localities as much as possible. So what happened on February 23rd was the authority approved a dollar amount for a list of 22 projects. What this plan does, signified on pages 24 and 25, is it acknowledges that dollar amount, but then it also assigns it over that, what's actually a 7-year period from FY25 through FY31. And it takes the information provided by each applicant in the funding applications in terms of when project expenses are expected to be incurred, provides some reasonable understanding of how those funds could be split between the different phases of construction, and assigns them to one of those one or multiple years of the fiscal years from FY25 to 31. So the primary change here is the addition of the splits of those funds of the total award across that time span. And what we are asking today is for an adoption of the 2024 Regional Allocations Plan so that it reflects the expected year of expenditure for each of the awarded projects. And this is a great resource, assuming we can get this passed today, because it shows every regional project that the CVTA has committed funding to over its lifetime. So all the way back to 2021 through this last round, it shows every project and whether funds were already spent or whether they're expected to be spent between now and FY31.
Any questions for Mr. Parsons? This is an important document, and it is a very useful one. If not, we would entertain a motion which will require a poll.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Nye. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Pearson, thank you for coming today. So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Scott, roll call.
Yes, sir. Vice Chair Hodges?
Aye.
Mr. Atkins?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll? Mr. Winfrey?
Aye.
Reverend Nelson?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. McClung?
Aye.
Ms. Nye?
Aye.
Delegate Cousins?
Aye.
Senator Hashmi?
Aye.
And Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you. Next, we move on to reports, CVTA Finance Committee update, and I understand Mr. Parsons will be making the Finance Committee Chair's report.
Yes, thank you very much. This is going to be very quick because everything that the authority just considered was the agenda for the last Finance Committee meeting. So thank you to Finance Committee members for for digging in and making these recommendations for action today. In addition to the 4 action items that we just approved, additional information from the Finance Committee, we had an introduction to our bond counsel from Kaufman and Knowles, Megan Gilliland and Ben Wills. We're here with the Finance Committee to introduce themselves, and they are ready to go when we are, and are eager to assist the CVTA in taking next steps when the time is right. Mr. Chair, that's the bulk of the report.
Does that cover item, next item is Financial Activities Investment Report, page 26, Mr. Parsons?
Yes, sir. This is something that I think we all look forward to. Page 26 is our report for tax collections and allocations. We continue to see great dividends from the sales and use tax as well as the local fuels tax. And our year-to-date and lifetime to date are at the right side of page 26. I will note that the regional fund for November through November tax activity of February 29th is up to $232 million. Payments to GRTC are almost 100 million at 99.5 million. And then local distributions, the 50% back to member jurisdictions, excuse me, is now at $331.8 million. Moving on to page 27 is the monthly investment report through January of 2024. We now see for FY24 alone, cumulative interest earnings at the bottom of the page in excess of $7 billion. We continue, as I mentioned to the Finance Committee, continue to work closely with the great team at Chesterfield County to reinvest in mostly short-term investments, funding when it is available, when it is not already committed to a short-term project in the next year or two, to typically a 6-month or possibly 12-month reinvestment. And those dividends are high. High inflation continues to keep those short-term yields high. So we are obviously continuing to seek guidance from the Chesterfield County team, but the current process is working very well. And we're excited about the interest earnings that are being received from the CVTA funds. Mr. Chair, I'd be happy to take any questions, but that's the
Any questions
Yeah,
for
no.
Mr. Parsons? Not hearing any, we'll move on to item 2 under reports, the CVTA Technical Advisory Committee update. Ms. Moore-Clark.
Good morning. Diana Moore-Clark here, City of Richmond, CVTA TAC Chair. The CVTA TAC met on Monday, March the 11th, 2024. I'll first provide an update on the Fall Line Trail. First, an update to the wayfinding plan for the Fall Line Trail. This wayfinding plan creates a tool for localities planning and funding wayfinding along their respective portions of the trail. The latest request for localities is to provide destinations on and beyond the Fall Line Trail. So again, if every locality could ensure that by April the 12th, that all the destinations that they want considered in this plan be submitted to Chet Parsons and or Gladys with the Fall Line wayfinding plan. Localities have requested, from that meeting, localities have requested clarity regarding wayfinding signs, character limits, and guidance for uniform mile limitations for proposed destinations, as well as the development of guidance for unbuilt sections of the Fall Line Trail. Staff, in conjunction with the TAC localities, are requesting continued support from this body for permission to apply for federal and state funds for the Fall Line Trail. Staff has discussed, as Chet stated, applying for approximately $250,000 in leveraging opportunities. And this is to really build and benefit the dollars that the CVTA have already invested and really go out and leverage those funds. Again, thanks to the leadership of the CVTA on committing continuous support to the completion of the Fall Line Trail. VDOT's Mr. Mark Riblet provided an update on Design Build 2 of the Fall Line. However, VDOT is still finalizing the Design Build guidelines. The TAC would like to thank everyone for today's action on the recommendation to approve the 2024 CVTA Regional Allocations Plan. Thank you. Today, let's see, TAC will, so at our TAC meeting, TAC discussed the regional framework parking lot. That is the prioritization framework process that we have committed to looking at annually after a cycle to see what is it that we can do to improve and create innovative improvements to that process. And so the regional framework parking lot list, we will be reviewing that over the next 3 months. So TAC is trying to break those down into where we don't have 3-hour meetings. So we're trying to make sure that we can manage those expectations. And just some of the key things that we are going to be grappling with is the need to include flexibility for project readiness to improve CVTA's leveraging in conjunction with federal and state opportunities. How can we best say when a project is ready, but still allow the authority flexibility for new and innovative projects to come before the board? Looking at needs to factor in regional benefit from a benefit cost analysis perspective. What can we do from the TAC end that better aligns those things when we present the projects to you? But again, these are all things that we have to work through. And again, we're looking at mid-cycle funding and really how, and I don't want to say funding, but mid-cycle adjustments, and really how we deal with those adjustments and requests that may come through in the mid-cycle. So we're looking at those things over the next 3 months, along with about 12 others. The TAC has, again, introduced a tentative mid-cycle 2-year schedule. So we are getting ahead of ourselves this time. And so we've projected that 2-year schedule to get us on track for the next round 4, so that we have plenty of time to review all of the projects and the proposed funding scenarios. Lastly, the TAC was provided an update for the development of an engineering on-call bench for third-party estimates that the CVTA would utilize. And TAC members discussed the desired outputs of the cost estimate review process. I can entertain any questions, otherwise that concludes my report.
Any questions for Ms. Moore Clark?
Mr. Chair, maybe
Yes.
not for Ms. Moore Clark, but I do have a question. There, one of the things that impressed me when I moved here a few years ago was the wall murals that exist here, and I'm not sure that there's an entity taking the lead on a theme for the art installations that are taking place. I heard at the last meeting that some art was going to be installed along the Fall Line Trail. We're installing art at the airport, but I don't think that there is an entity that's the lead in terms of what theme is going to be presented to people as they enter into region, or what to expect when they come here. So I don't know if this is the right group, but somebody needs to be trying to point the direction in terms of what what we're going to install and where.
That's an
and what things we
interesting
can-
observation, and as being part of the Fall Line Trail in Ashland. Do you have any thoughts, Mr. Parsons?
I don't, but we could certainly ask some questions.
And try to find out if there's interest or if there is an entity out there that addresses Mr. Miller's concern. Yes, Ms.
So,
Nye.
Mr. Chair, in the city of Richmond, we have a public arts commission. I'm not sure how other localities make decisions and do that, but, we
have
could.
a public arts commission.
Okay, we would certainly, that would be the place that I would ask the question, but we can certainly work with them to have them come to the table if there's some sort of regional desire to coordinate.
And that's a good point. We have a arts commission, and others might. So sounds like we're taking your question under advisement, and there are entities out there that are reviewing them and considering themes, maybe not in the context of the Fall Line Trail, but should be considering it. So maybe Mr. Parsons, can you follow up and report back?
Sure will.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments or questions? Not hearing any agency updates, Mr. Parsons.
Yes, sir, the quick reports from Plan RVA as well as the Richmond Regional TPO are contained in the agenda. You had mentioned the Transportation Forum, so there's a recap there of what happened if you weren't able to attend. And then the TPO meeting reviews or meeting summaries are included there, as well as what's upcoming for the Policy Board is April 4th. TAC is April 9th. I think if there are any additional questions on either of those updates, I'd be happy to take them probably after the meeting. We could follow up and get you more information.
Any questions at this point, if you've got a lengthy one after the meeting? Not hearing any. Other business, any CVTA member comments on anything? Yes, Ms. Pearson.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to announce that on Wednesday, April the 3rd, the naming ceremony for the Patricia A. Page Memorial Highway, New Kent's I-64 portion of the highway is occurring, and it is open to the public, and we would love it if anybody could attend. Her legacy continues.
That's a wonderful thing, supported by VDOT, and I do plan to be there.
I'll be there as well, for you, Senator.
There,
I'd like to make
Oh, yes, it's at the
I'm
rest.
sorry, excuse me.
I'm sorry, it's at the
Go
rest,
ahead, Ms.
the
Pearson.
eastbound rest stop, on I-64 at the 214 exit. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Any other on that? Mr. McClung.
I would like to make a request to staff and CVTA. It's an unusual request, but if Powhatan is wondering, is there any CVTA funds available for blueways or waterways? What we're thinking about doing is putting in like a canoe launch, kayak launch with the Appomattox River. And I think if we could get funds for that, I don't know if funds would be available for something like that, but I'd like for staff to look into to see if some funding will be available for that. And I think if it's something that we can do, I think it would benefit every locality in CVTA territory. So Powhatan's lucky because we have the James River to the north and the Appomattox River to the south. So just a thought, if anything's available.
Is that something, Mr. Parsons, you can address or address through CPO?
We have had preliminary discussions with Mr. McClung and Mr. Chardon. I think there's some questions that we can dig into further, maybe with VDOT's assistance, about what is a transportation corridor?
Sure.
And whether that falls under a proper use of local CVTA funds, as well as maybe some other resources.
And we'd be proud to take the lead on that, Powhatan County would.
Great.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McClung. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Knight.
I just have a brief comment. So the last time the authority released a statement was on February 8th regarding the proposed round 3 projects. So Chair Stoney had asked me to formally request that a draft press release be prepared along with a video highlighting the key projects funded in round 3. for leveraging and implementation of projects planned for the next 6 years. It should also highlight how the region has increased the spending power of the CVTA by providing not 155 million, but 232 million in regional transportation investments for this round and to fund major projects within the region. So I know that we need to find some money to do this, but I'm confident that we can. And I think it would just be a really great thing to highlight what the authority is doing, what the region's doing, and all of the great work.
I see, Ms. Parsons, you have a response?
Well, we have an informal process that we've started to pick up where the locality that the chair is seated in has worked with CVTA staff to develop a video. So I'd be happy to follow up with Ms. Moore Clark and possibly you, Ms. Nye, about how we can get that accomplished. We did do a press release after the 23rd.
Okay.
And it was picked up and run by VPM as well as the Times Dispatch. I don't think anybody else ran any stories, but the video is a great idea, and I think that would be something that could really catch a lot more attention.
Okay. However we can be supportive.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Carroll.
I offered this up because I'm not sure what the city's capabilities are. It may have the capability to produce the video, it might not. We do in Chester County, and we've done several of these videos already. I think Enrico's done one as well. So if for some reason y'all don't have the capabilities to do it, we have it in our communications and media. Even the ability to go out and do on-site video shots, which they did when I did my video. So I offer that up as a service to assist the city and the mayor as chair to provide a high-quality video to be able to go out to the community to talk about the spectacular things that the CVTA has done. So I offer that up.
Okay, thank you.
Great idea, Ms. Carroll. This is regional cooperation in real time.
Could we do one for Goochland County?
Maybe after the meeting. You know.
Well, Mr. Chair, I will say that I actually offered up before the ability for all of the jurisdictions, if they choose to, and if they want to come in and talk about their projects. You know, we do a podcast in Chesterfield County. And I actually did a podcast with the former chair, Frank Thornton. Who would have thought that you would ever seen someone from Enrico and Chesterfield, a Democrat and a Republican, doing a podcast together, talk about all the fantastic things that the CVTA has done, but we did it and it was very successful. And I will always have that opportunity available for any member of the CVTA that would like to come and do a podcast and talk about the wonderful things that each jurisdiction is doing. You know, we did that when Chet and I went around to every single board and did a presentation, and so that is always available for all of our members here for the CVTA.
That's
I
wonderful.
did it as well.
Yep, you did.
Well, that's another value of the authority of getting groups together and sharing resources. And we thank Chesterfield County for your generosity. Yes, we have another, Mr. Ribley.
Just one quick update, our spring 6-year plan public meeting is tentatively scheduled for April 18th at 4 p.m. at the Richmond District Office. Official announcements should be coming out here shortly, but just have it on your radar, April 18th, 4 p.m.
Great, thank you, Mr. Ribley. Any other comments to come before the authority? Yes.
I've got somewhat of an unrelated comment, maybe of regional importance, but the first Saturday in May in 1973, I happened to be in Churchill Downs when Secretariat came in.
Oh.
I was there last year when the 50th anniversary, so I'm telling my age, but something's happening in Ashland tomorrow.
Yes, it is. I'm hesitating to advertise it because we're expecting a large crowd. March 30th is Secretariat's birthday, and we have the statue. In fact, it's already located in front of.
It is beautiful.
It is a beautiful statue, and we're very proud to have it, and we appreciate the cooperation of Randolph-Macon College, who've allowed it to go in front of their seal on Route 54 next to the train station. For those of you that are interested, at 11 o'clock, there'll be a free showing at the Ashland Theater of the movie Secretariat. And at 2 o'clock, there will be a ribbon cutting, and we'll also help you if you want to buy a blue and white Secretariat flag. And anyway, thank you for bringing that up.
That statue was at the Derby last year too.
Yes, it was a remarkable effort. The town has not put any money up. It was all privately raised, and they raised the money to buy the statue and to put the plaza in where the statue is. Randolph-Macon owns the property and is allowing the statue to be there, and the town of Ashland has taken over maintenance of it. So it's a great success in addition to the center of the universe. We're the home of Secretariat, or the statue. Thank you, Mr. Lincoln. Any other comments? We thank you for coming. This meeting's adjourned.